the salespeople are sleazy and they're trying to get people to do something that they don't really want to do, or whatever all those other rules are. Because of my focus on those rules, I have kept myself from doing what I really, really believe I'm here to do, what I really believe I'm good at, and what I really believe could help a lot of people. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Sharon Let's Live with Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist. So what I realized yesterday is that if I stop believing that the rules apply to me, that so much more is possible. So I'll explain. So a lot of times I'll start to worry about something. Yesterday, I went dress shopping with my daughter for a homecoming dress. And we weren't finding anything. There weren't that many stores to pick from. We weren't really finding anything. And we were getting discouraged. Then the salesperson asked us what color we were looking for. And when she told her the color, the salesperson said, "Oh, that color is very popular." And it was kind of in a damning sort of way, that color is really popular, so good luck with that, because everybody's going on homecoming right now, and that's going to be a hard dress to find. That's what was in between the lines of what she said, and it was discouraging. But I didn't give in to discouragement, because in my mind, she's going to get a dress. It might not be at this store, but it's not the only store in the world. We're just going to go to another store. So I never gave up the belief that we're going to get a dress. Even if it meant we were leaving her store and we would get a dress at the next store. So when she said that, I didn't really internalize it, which is good. Because I'm going to say maybe 1 minute later is when she said, what about this dress right here? And that ended up being the dress. And she looks amazing in it. So what I learned yesterday was that if I believe that the rules apply to me, they apply to me. If I believe that the rules don't apply to me, they don't apply to me. And the thing that's really crazy about that is that it would seem like, no, that's not how it works. The rules are the rules. The rules are made up, and then we buy into them. It starts with one person, and then another person, and another person, and then people keep repeating it until it becomes the rule. But it starts off as a random occurrence that somebody decided to make a rule, and then we all buy into it, believe it, and then that becomes the thing. So I realized yesterday that if I don't buy into the rule, then the rule doesn't have to apply to me. And I didn't even think about it until just now, but I've been doing this my whole life. That whole thing of, with looking for a job, for example, and people would say, when you're looking for a job, apply to 30, 40, 50 places, go on 40 interviews, because you never know which one is gonna, let me tell you about me. Effort and time are a big deal to me. I remember being in church and someone was giving their testimony about how she went on, she applied to 35 jobs and she went on all these interviews and then she finally found the right one, and, how she stuck with it and did what it took so that she could. And I've heard so many other people say that whole thing of I've applied to this many and that many. I've never been that person. I just value my time too much for that. I don't like putting in a lot of effort into uncertain things. So I could probably do that with 5 jobs, but not 30, not 35, not 50. That's just no. But, those rules work for people who believe that rule applies to them. I, on the other hand, will say a prayer asking for guidance to specific jobs. I will look for jobs that I know that I would enjoy doing. I'm not applying everywhere. And And I would, apply to, 5 jobs. Maybe if I do it on like an Indeed or something where all you have to do is like click the button, then I might have applied to 10. But I'm not doing all that. I'm not going on like 4 interviews for 4 different jobs. Like, I'm on the 2nd interview for this one and I'm on my 3rd interview for that one. No. I just don't believe that rule applies to me. I believe that there are specific places and one of these 5 is it. That's it. Like, I'm not doing that. And I've always managed to get another job with that philosophy. Like, I applied to 3 jobs. Out of the 3, 1 called back, and I liked the place. So I worked there until I didn't like it anymore. So, along similar lines, I've also noticed that the rules don't apply unless you believe they apply. Like, if you've seen a couple that doesn't look matched, like she's like a, successful model and he's like not traditionally attractive and doesn't have any money and they're together because he decided or she decided that those rules don't apply. I don't, just because I look like this doesn't mean that I can't be with that person. Some people, a lot of people, have a belief that you have to go to school, get your degree, find a good government job with a pension, and a 401k. Wait, is that the same thing? I don't even know. Find a good job with benefits and a 401k, and then you work there for 35 plus years, and then you get to retire when you turn 65, and you do these things in this order, and that worked for them, and they got what they believed is what you get when you do that. While there are other people who leaked a sex tape and now they're rich, like rich because their sex tape went viral. Or there's somebody on TikTok who changes their outfits every day and shows you, or on Instagram, and they're making way more money than the person who is putting, money each check into that 401k. Because the rules, it's like the rules that we believe apply to us. So what I've been noticing is that there are rules that I believe that are impacting my life. And I need to shift my focus from those beliefs to a new belief. So what I realized yesterday in a chat conversation with an awesome business coach, and I was on her post yesterday, when I don't even remember what the statement was that she made, but what I realized is that I have a belief, and that belief has been getting in my way. So one of the things that I love to do, hence the daily podcast, clearly I like to talk, I love speaking. I love public speaking. And I really like doing workshops. I like interactive. We're all in a room. It's super, like, I don't want to say intimate because that makes it sound all like, like we've got low lighting. But I like to be able to engage with people directly in like a boardroom type of setting, or, a classroom, like where we get to sit in a circle and share about what's going on with us and be very open. And I create a safe environment for that. And then people are able to talk about stuff that we don't normally talk about. And I really love supporting people in that way because I'm able to control the environment in such a way that everybody is moved and changed and healed and all of that. It's just, the conversations end up being so powerful and it's so guided. Like I kind of walk in with a Post-it note with, like 4 points. Like I want to make sure I say this. I want to make sure I tell that story. I want to make sure I ask these questions, that type of thing. And occasionally I might have like some sort of handout, and people, like if I do it with students or whatever, like, you know, I need to make sure that they're like doing more than just listening to me. So we might have like a worksheet or something like that. But I just like to be in the space and kind of wing it. There are people who believe that you have to follow these rules. Like I used to visit Toastmaster meetings, and then I was just like, I don't even know if this is for me because of I think Toastmasters is awesome and it prepares people in amazing ways. Like I probably wouldn't say like all the time or all my and ahs and all that and ands and all that if I was actually still going to those Toastmaster meetings. And there are some people who are meant to do a prepared speech, and there are some people who walk up, open their mouth, and the words come out. I'm that person. I'm just guided, and the words just come out. I've tried to prepare speeches, and it just doesn't work. However, I can walk in a room, and we can have a really powerful conversation. Wonderful group interaction. I can walk in a room where everybody is side-eyeing me and, you know, slumped in their seats, because a lot of times I speak to young people. Like fourth grade through ninth grade girls are my favorite group, especially if they're the ones that constantly get in trouble. That's really my jam. And the thing is that I just don't believe certain rules apply to me. I don't believe that if I don't have a speech that I'm gonna like bomb. I believe that I get to show up and be used, like the words can flow through me, like into my mind and out of my mouth. That I could walk in a room that lives will be changed. And that happens every single time. I'm amazed every single time, because when I walk in, they introduce me and I still don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I know the words always come. I literally get introduced. They're like, and she does this, and she has a book called I'm Proud to Be Natural Me, and present to you Marlene Dillon. And all the way up until they say Dillon, even as I begin to talk, I have no idea what I'm about to say. And then I'm in that room for 45 minutes, an hour, and amazing things have happened. I spoke for a mentoring group, like like an after school type of girls mentoring program. And when I first got there, like it might have been like, a couple of girls who knew each other, but they weren't all like together. There was a lot of girls who just like kind of came in separately. When it first started out, like the girl in the front row, man, that mean mug that she was given, like, I do not want to be here. She was like slumped in her chair. She wasn't making eye contact. As usual, one of my main participants in that workshop, we worked through some really powerful shit. Like like I cuss, like deal with it. I don't cuss with the kids though, because it creates like a weird dynamic. We did an activity where I had them partner up, and one person pretended to be the person that they have some things they need to say to. Like maybe they have a absentee parent, or a friend who betrayed them, or whatever. Like we were healing that day. So one person in the pair pretends to be that person, and then the other person gets to say what they need to say. The person who's pretending to be, their fake, father or fake best friend or whatever, that person is there to be positive and affirming and say things that will be supportive, say the things that they believe the person needs to hear and would want to hear. So the intention is healing. It's not like they aren't arguing with the person. It's all loving responses. So as we paired up, and when I do workshops, everyone in the room participates. Everyone in the room is an equal, in a sense. So if a teacher's in that room, they participate. Everybody's vulnerable. So nobody has to feel uncomfortable, like I can't talk about this because your teacher is talking about her stuff too. And it just creates a whole different dynamic. So a teacher was with a student, and the teacher was the person doing her work. Like the student was the person who was affirming them. And it ended up being a really healing time for the teacher. I ended up working with a girl whose father left and started another family. And I was able, and she was asking me, she was hitting me with hard questions. Like, why did you leave me and then become, and you're being a dad to her, but you're not being a dad to me. Like, she was hitting me with deep stuff. And I was mad. It felt like I was him, because I was just like, ooh, that's a hard one. But I had to give her a loving response. And I gave her a loving response. And then she hit me with another one. And I could see the iciness melting off of her as she began to understand his perspective, as she began to understand that he loved her, as she began to understand the dynamic of the relationship, just by me standing in that space as that person for her. I did a workshop where people were sharing their truths, and I was really amazed when one girl walked up, and her mom was an organizer of the event, and her sister was in the room, and she came out to her family. And I did not see that coming. They didn't either. But she came out to her family because the space is, I create a safe space. So it's like, yeah, I could speak on stage. I'm sure I could do that. I do this every day. But what I love to do, I love to be in a room where I get to be an agent for healing, where I get to teach people how to communicate in healthy ways. That is my passion, one of many. but I'm very passionate about it, and everybody feels it, and we all leave the room changed. By the end of that workshop where we were pairing up, I do this thing where I ask the girls to share one thing. Okay, so the question is, or the statement is, if they only knew, then they would. And basically it goes like this. So this girl, I'll just use her for example. She said, and we were not ready. She said, if they only knew that my grandmother died this morning. I'm about to cry now. If they only knew that my grandmother died this morning, then they would understand why and I forgot what her final statement was, because I think I was already in tears by then. The whole room, these girls, like I'm saying, these girls didn't all know each other. The entire room was moved. Like, you could feel it. And I was just like, come on, let's support our sister. Because my program is called SISTA, because it's an acronym. And like, for like support, integrity, that type of stuff. So I was just like, come on, let's support our sister. And we all went over and hugged her. We all embraced. We were all crying. We were all crying with her. And this is like, I'm trying to think, are they middle school? Yeah, this is like middle school girls. Yeah, they weren't in high school yet. And we're all standing around hugging this girl and crying with her. And it's just that type of beautiful, healing vulnerability that I like to create in a space. Oh, the point. ADHD be like, the point that I'm making is that I love doing that, but I haven't been doing that because I have a belief about a rule. And the rule is that I know I am really, really capable of doing amazing speaking engagements. I know that I am really capable of being a change agent when I come into a room. And I don't believe in my ability to sell that to someone else because I can't produce the empirical data to say in this room I did, like I have a 100% success rate of blah, 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 or whatever the fuck it is that they ask for to prove that you can do what you say you can do. I don't know how to do that. And I feel like if I can't do that, that I get boxed out. And it's really based off of individual moments that I made into a rule of someone saying, like, well, do you have a blah, blah, blah that can show that you've done blah, blah, blah at all these different places? And I'm like, no, but I know I can do it. And I just have this belief that I can't just show up and say I can do it. Let me do it. And because of that, I never sell myself, and I'm not speaking, something that I'm so good at. And I am not a person who speaks confidently, oddly enough. But that's why I do what I do, because I wasn't raised to be confident. I was raised to feel like I was like lowly and unworthy and, all that stuff that they teach in church sometimes. I don't deserve anything. I am a worthless, wretch undone and all that kind of crap. I believed it, so, but anyway, back to the point. So because of the rule that I can't sell myself, that there's something wrong with selling, that, the salespeople are sleazy and they're trying to get people to do something that they don't really want to do, or whatever all those other rules are, because of my focus on those rules, I have kept myself from doing what I really, really believe I'm here to do, what I really believe I'm good at, and what I really believe could help a lot of people. And yesterday, I was commenting on my coach friend's post. Because of that, I came to the understanding that it's my belief in this rule that I don't get to do what I want to do because other people can keep me from doing it, that is keeping me from doing what I want to do. And I get to choose to stop focusing on that and believing in that, because a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So our beliefs basically are a form of focus as well. I get to change the rule. And I'm actually realizing this right now, that I could simply write out what the rule is, like the rule that I'm currently following, and then I can just choose to believe the opposite. Because it's just a thought I keep thinking. So actually, I think that that's what I'm going to work on with my therapist today, is figuring out what my rule is. Figuring out a new rule, what gets to happen for me, how things get to work out for me, and letting that be how I address this situation, because I want to be speaking, I want to be living well, and I could be getting paid to speak. I get to change the rules. I get to change the rules about my pricing. I get to change the rules about how I get invited in to do speaking. I get to change the rules about people being able to keep me from what is mine to do. And I'm just grateful for this podcast, because I have grown so much doing this daily podcast. And that's the thing, I am growing publicly and giving you an opportunity to grow along with me. So as I'm learning things, I'm sharing them. I'm learning them while I'm sharing. And even in my vulnerability, I know that I am helping people. And so I'm going to leave you with that and say your challenge for today, your Let's Focus challenge for today, is to find a rule that you are following in your life that is literally not working for you, and decide that it doesn't have to work for you. If it's not hurting other people, and I don't mean if you need to break up with somebody because they are not it, that, okay, that might hurt somebody. But ultimately, nobody should be stuck in a relationship with someone who doesn't really want to be with them. So sometimes hurt is okay. But what I mean is, if you can't stand your boss and want to take them out, that is a rule. The rule that you're supposed to not kill people, let's follow that rule. Don't switch it up on that one. But if it's a rule that you're following that says, I have to stay in this really, if you're at a job that is killing your soul, but the rule is that you're not allowed to, you're not supposed to leave a good job, because other people wish they had it. If you don't find yourself something else so you can have some peace and joy and not die on that job because you're killing yourself. They had a study that said, and this is my paraphrase, that most heart attacks occurred at 7 or 8 a.m. on a Monday or something. Like it was, and so it was like a direct correlation to people going to a whack ass job that they hate is like one of the main things killing people. So like, don't die on a job that you can't stand. Start believing a different rule. That what if your rule was, I get to work somewhere that I get to do work that I enjoy and get paid well for it and be respected. Like you can make whatever rule is going on right now, like you just have to take it and put your head down and, keep the wheel to the grindstone, whatever the fuck that means. Like, what if you change the rule for you and you start to affirm that for yourself? I get to have a job I like. I get to work with people I love. I get to get paid more than I've ever been paid before. Like, what if you change the rule? And that's something I need to do as well. Because I have a running rule that no one is going to pay me for that. No one is going to allow me to do that. Yes, other people get to do that, but that doesn't get to happen for me. That's probably like one of my biggest rules that is working against me. Yeah, other people get to charge $100, $200, $300, $400, $1,000 for a course, but no one's going to pay me that. So I'm going to charge $29.99 and charge $29.99 feeling like that's high. But we get to change the rules. We get to make the rules. We make the rule. We believe the new rule. The rule applies. It's that simple. Simple and easy are not the same thing. I learned that from Elizabeth Lyons, amazing author. Simple and easy are not the same thing. It may be only a few steps, but it might take a lot of emotional work. Might take a lot of inner work, But it's worth it. It's worth it rather than being stuck in the same cycle for decades like I've been. Like, I'm ready for things to change, so I need to make changes about the rules. Anyway, so pick a rule and decide what your new rule will be. And then, instead of like making it hard for yourself, an easier version of affirmation is, I am looking for evidence that this new rule is true. So like fill in your new rule into that new rule statement. I am looking for evidence that this is true. All right. So this is Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist. Have an amazing whatever time of day it is for you. Blessings. To learn more about me, Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist, please visit mdillondesigns.com. There you can find more podcast episodes, you can read my inspirational blog, you can check out my online store of personalized gifts featuring the characters from my empowering children's book, I'm Proud to Be Natural Me. You can find parenting resources, including my online communication course, Healing Our Families, Healing the Parent-Child Relationship. Please follow and share if you found this podcast inspiring. Thank you and have an amazing day.